even if I make like a video on a template, rather than buying it, they reach out about a custom work. So while it may seem like you're just promoting like template packs, you'll probably get requests from a lot of different people, whether they're just individuals, other YouTubers, or they're actual companies that are looking for some custom graphics, especially if they have in-house teams and they don't have a dedicated motion designer. It's a great way for you to make feature work and get pretty good money from it.
Hey Hatchlings, welcome to the Motion Hatch podcast. I'm your host, Hayley Akins. Hey, and welcome to episode 43. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're brand new here, this is where we talk about the business side of motion design and animation. We bring on motion designers and expert guests from the motion design industry. We talk about how they run their businesses, and we also talk about how they make money and how to get clients and things like that. And sometimes we bring on experts from different industries, and we talk about things like content marketing and passive income and how to generate money from different revenue streams. So today's episode is one of those episodes. So I'm really excited to bring on Kelsey Brannon today, aka Premiere Gal. She has an awesome YouTube channel. You should definitely check it out. She has over 120,000 subscribers right now, which is just incredible. And she basically has tutorials and tips and tricks for Premiere, but also After Effects. And also she shows you how to make motion graphics templates and things like that. So it's a really, really great channel. I thought I'd bring her on today to talk about how to start a YouTube channel and how to make money from doing tutorials and having a YouTube channel, and also how we can make passive income as motion designers. So this was really, really interesting. I really enjoyed chatting to her, and I hope you'll enjoy listening too. Hey Kelsey, thanks so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So do you want to tell us a bit about your background and how you got into video?
Sure. I was in high school at the time. I grew up in California, the Bay Area, just outside of San Francisco. And in our junior year, which is our third year, we had the option to apply to be a part of an academy. And there was the Physics Academy, and then there was the Media Academy. And I was like, that's super cool. So I was thinking I wanted to be like an architect. So I was killing it in my calculus classes and all the math stuff. And I was like, I should just become an architect. They make good money, right? I thought that I had applied to the Physics Academy, and come junior year, I thought I was going to show up and come in. But somehow I accidentally got put in the Media Academy. So I wasn't even thinking about it. And then after the first day, I just fell in love with it. And we were able to make in addition to book reports, we got to make short television shorts about the books. And I just loved the storytelling. And ever since then, everything I've done has been something related to video. I went on to get a degree in film and media studies from UC Santa Barbara. I went to get my master's in documentary filmmaking. So it's just all been a part of who I am. And I just fell in love with teaching, and it's always been a part of it. And then I was like, hey, let's start a YouTube channel and see if I can pay off some student loans here. Because you know how it is in the States, all of us have the big student loan stuff. So we have to be creative with our income here. And so that was kind of how I started the YouTube channel, not just to make money, of course, but it was kind of a creative outlet as well. Because I feel like once you're done with school, you have to figure out how do you continually grow as a person and grow your skill set. So that's kind of my little background in a nutshell.
Yeah, so what were you doing when you first started your YouTube channel?
Yes, I was a full-time video producer. Technically, I was a shredder, which is a shooter, editor, producer. And I was working at the State Department in Washington, D.C. on their digital communications team, specifically for the education and study abroad sector. So I was doing short videos about these study abroad experiences that people had when they went on an exchange program. And I got to travel a bit. It was a great starting job. And I was there for 4 years. And I was kind of at the top level. It was a small team. So I didn't really feel like I could grow anymore. And I was feeling oh, it's time for a change. So on the side, in the last year, I started the YouTube channel. that's kind of how it happened. But I was lucky enough to have that job on the side where I had that skill set. I was already confident that I knew what I was doing. And I was like, I can just take this knowledge and put it in my own forum, which was the channel.
Do you want to tell us what the channel's called and what kind of content you do on there?
Yeah, I'm like talking about this channel. It's like, what is it? It's called Premiere Gal. I started that because I tweeted at Premiere Bro, and Premiere Bro had a blog, and he still has a blog. I think he's still pretty active. And I was like, I tweeted at him and I was like, hey, would you ever want a contribution from a Premiere Gal? And he was like, yeah, like absolutely. And he like hooked me up like to write for him. It was all like pro bono. Like it was just for like the love of it. So I wrote a blog for him, and then I wrote to him. I was like, hey, like, should I start a YouTube channel? And like he helped like launch me into the Twitter space and started getting some followers that way. And this was in August of 2016 that it all started. So it's all like video editing, video production, tips and tricks, and I post weekly still.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you do like a bit of stuff about After Effects and things like that on there as well.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people think like, oh, Premiere Gal, it's only Premiere stuff. And that's true. Like that's like the origin and like the root and my hub of everything I create when I'm done. But I use the whole Adobe Creative Cloud suite, like Audition for some audio, Photoshop for some graphics, Illustrator for some illustration, and then I like combine it all together in After Effects for like logo reveals and making motion graphics. So you kind of have to use all of them, and it works really well the way that they design the cloud.
Yeah, just because most of the audience is motion designers, so I started pointing that out. Just they're like, it's editing and a bit of motion design stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really what the audience wants to learn too. And I get a lot of people asking, how do I do like animated lower thirds? You know, how do you make this transition? And After Effects is just such a beast of a tool. There's so much you can show. And I do my best to show that. But I can say, if you want to up your skills in anything, like definitely make a YouTube channel. I even watch some of my own tutorials because I'll forget. I'll be like, wait, how did I do that again? So I don't know. It's just a good way to kind of like, I always say that you learn the best when you teach other people. And I know that that's a fact because I've been a teaching assistant and I've done this YouTube channel, and I just remember things so much more because I had to make a whole tutorial on it, you know? So it definitely helps improve your skills vastly when you do a YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I think that's just like one of the benefits, which is why I wanted to bring you on, because I wanted to talk more about YouTube as a platform and, you know, how we can utilize that in the motion design industry. Because you have over 120,000 subscribers now, which is like crazy. That's so many.
Cool. I can't believe it. Yeah, so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would just say like for anybody that wants to, whether you're a business or an individual, like it's just another place to connect with people and get the word out. I mean, it's such a strong search engine. YouTube search, Google search, they're integrated, and Google like owns half the world, and then Amazon the second half. You need to like put your stuff where it's going to get seen. And if you're getting started, think about what are people searching for? And that's kind of how I started my channel, was like, you know, how to do something. And I noticed that there's lots of how-tos out there, and there's people like how to change the oil on your car engine. So if you're a mechanic, you can make a YouTube channel and you can show tips and tricks and people would watch it. You can make a ton of ad revenue from that. So think about your niche and how you can make how-to stuff. And then once you grow to a certain level, you can start experimenting with more cooler content that maybe you are just desirable, you know, what you want to do rather than just like a how-to video. Don't get me wrong. I love doing the how-to stuff because that's kind of my style, but it's always nice to kind of step outside and maybe do like a short film that has nothing to do with, you know, teaching somebody something. So start with your niche, grow and experiment.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think that in our industry, a lot of people put their animations and stuff on Vimeo. And do you think that YouTube is just for that kind of how-to content, or do you think that you can like use it to maybe do a channel that is more about entertainment? What's your kind of perspective on that?
Yeah, Vimeo has definitely had that reputation of always being like the show reel, the portfolio style. And I think as it's evolved as a platform, it definitely is that source. They have staff picks, they select stuff. I wish YouTube had more of that, to be honest, because I feel like it's either YouTube is just like how to, vlogging, and direct address type of stuff. There's not a lot of short film content on there. And I feel like why not? Like, I feel like what you could do is you could maybe do some motion designer like notes so you can talk about that process. So if you still want to use Vimeo to like host like the final polished product and you don't want any ads on it or anything, you could at least do like, you know, how there's like director's cuts and stuff. You can maybe give some more commentary on like the process. And I think that would be a super cool way of engaging in addition to doing like how-to stuff, because I think people always want to know like the thought process that goes into things, and you don't often get that. I mean, they don't really have DVDs anymore where you have like the director's cut and you can like watch those back. I remember opening DVDs in the early 2000s and loving that. But if we could have that on a YouTube platform, I think that would be successful. So I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that because obviously you don't see it as much. You see more people doing like tutorials for After Effects. Like there definitely is a lot of people doing that. And another thing that I haven't seen very much is a lot of animators do tutorials and they'll be like, oh, look, this is how you do something in After Effects. But not a lot of them put their face like beforehand, like because you do that. You do your intros and then you'll like go into the software. Do you think that's like part of why your channel was like quite successful?
That's a good question. I'm not actually sure. There was times where I didn't put my face primarily because I was just lazy. And I think that's part of it. It takes a lot of work. You have to sit down, you have to set up the camera, you have to like do your little, you know, memorize what you were going to say and then repeat it. And at first I was like, do people even care? I was like, should I even have my face there? Because like, do people even care? And I guess I just made the decision that that human element of like connecting with people, and it's YouTube, like people associate your face and your personality with something. So I guess in a way it did contribute, and I try to have like a little bit of fun too, not just have it be like me sitting down and being like, okay, and now you're going to select the selection tool and drag the clip over and ripple edit. It's like, no, like you want to like add a little bit of flavor to it. And I think by having myself, I'm able to do like a nice like introduction saying like, this is what you're going to learn. And like, if people don't want that, skip past it. You know what I mean? There is a fast forward button on YouTube and there is a pause button. So I think find the style that works for you, and you can certainly do it without having your face at all. I know that there's another channel who's a friend of mine. He's based in, I think, the Netherlands, and his channel is called Orange 83. And he doesn't show himself at all. He doesn't even say his name or identity. And he has over 200,000 subscribers now. So he was able to make it work. So I don't think it's necessarily because I decided to put my face on there that it was successful. It was just the teaching style, which is very like clear, to the point, not saying like a bunch of different stuff, like a bunch of technical stuff to confuse people. It's like, no, it's just like, it's really easy to use. Like, this is how you do it, you know, kind of demystifying the tech stuff.
I just think that because there's quite a lot of people doing tutorials, but not a lot of people putting themselves into it. And like, I think it's a bit about like personal branding and stuff like that as well. And I feel like that might help people stand out a bit more because other people aren't doing it.
Well, yeah, because you wouldn't be able to see anybody like at an event and be like, oh, I've seen your work. Like, no, you haven't seen my face anywhere. But for me, yeah, I've put myself out there. So people do at like video events, like, you know, I'll see people and some people recognize me or some people just recognize my voice. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I get that with the podcast. People are like, I recognize your voice. And I'm like, oh, it's so weird. As motion designers, do you think that we should be thinking about YouTube as a way to gain exposure and get clients?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I know that some people that sell on like Envato Elements or Envato Market for Video Hive, they put their full tutorial up on YouTube. Let's say they made a lower third pack of like 20 different lower thirds, and they'll just do like a little promo intro showing off the product. And then they'll jump into how you use it. And I think that that is a great way for people to be like, oh, I want to search for a modern contemporary pack for this new documentary I'm working on. And if they tag it right, if they add the correct tags to that. So commonly what I do is I'll just search Google for what I'm looking for and I see what pops up and I see what people tagged those things with. And then I'll take those tags and put them on my tags. You can also get I use vidIQ. It's basically like an SEO optimizer for YouTube. So it'll give you a score of how well the search volume criteria is on that video. So if you get that tool with a combination of just the run and gun search on Google, you can actually really optimize your content. And so if you make a pack or if you make a piece of work that you want to show off, just be sure to tag it correctly so you're going to hit those people that are searching for that type of content.
What you're saying is you could make some more kind of income from different revenue stuff, rather than maybe getting clients to get you to make animations for them. You could develop some motion graphics templates or some different products and then have a YouTube channel around that kind of thing.
You can, but you can also just show off your work as well and talk about the process. Because even though I do make my own motion graphics templates and I'll occasionally give them shout outs and do some promo, I think that through the YouTube channel, people have seen me sort of as an expert. So I'll get emails being like, hey, I need this custom work done. I saw your video here. Would you be able to help me out? Even if I make a video on a template, rather than buying it, they reach out about a custom work. So while it may seem like you're just promoting template packs, you'll probably get requests from a lot of different people, whether they're just individuals, other YouTubers, or they're actual companies that are looking for some custom graphics, especially if they have in-house teams and they don't have a dedicated motion designer. It's a great way for you to make feature work and get pretty good money from it.
Yeah, so that's kind of the building the influencer side of things. So you're kind of becoming an expert in your industry and then, getting work from that. But then you can also make other kind of passive income products, which I which can kind of build the channel all around those things.
Yeah, you have to be smart. You have to diversify your streams because for sure, YouTube ad revenue is not the way to be successful in life. You need to have more than that, whether it's through recommending products or if it's just your templates that you sell. I sell on my own website, which actually does better than selling on Adobe stock. But not saying that Adobe stock isn't good. People make good money from it. It's just I haven't promoted it as much. And that's the key is if you want to make passive income, it's a lot of work. You have to be strategic. You have to say, oh, I haven't made a video on this in a couple months. Maybe I should do that again just to keep that stream going. Because it's kind of when you start with affiliate marketing, it's kind of very slow and maybe you'll make some money for a couple cups of coffee. And then it starts to just, it's like a curve, right? Because that link, when you embed it, in a video, on a blog, on a podcast, those live forever and people still find them and they click and they click and they click and then the clicks just add up and then eventually people start to convert and you make some money from it.
I think there's a couple of things you touched on there. One, about the motion graphics templates, because we've talked about them before. And I think that if you have a YouTube channel and, if you have an audience stuff and things like that, it's great to, have them on your own website and stuff. But I think there is obviously Adobe stock. And then I believe there's some other platforms where you can sell motion
Video
graphics
Hive.
templates. Yeah, exactly. So I feel they could be a good way for people if they don't want to go down the kind of audience building route. Obviously, they're probably going to sell more if they do that. But I just wondered if you agree with that, whereas it could be easier because obviously you're giving it to a platform that already has people going there rather than...
Right, exactly. I think Envato is exclusive as well as Adobe. So you have to be careful about where you're putting it. I think Pond 5, you can sell on Pond 5 Marketplace and they're non-exclusive. So you can have that same one on your store and the same one on Pond 5. So you just have to be careful about where you put it. But the truth is, yeah, you're right. It's Envato is so big now. It's been around for several years and it's really grown to be that marketplace, right? So again, you need to tag it good too and work with the Envato people to make sure that your template's going to be shown at the top, and then you get people to leave reviews and stuff. So it's a whole nother strategy as well. So, you need to make sure that, that product's getting seen and that you get lots of sales, because I think what happens is it's like a select few people that make a ton of sales. And then the people like that have these awesome products that they spend hours and hours on. I mean, have you guys seen some of these motion designs in there? And like this person's selling it for $15 and it probably took them like 2 months to make the thing. And I'm just like mind blown at how amazing these things are. But if you get it at a lower rate and you're able to get it in front of more people, you can make more money from that. So it's actually a smart strategy, but you just have to make sure that people see it. And that's why working with a YouTube channel can help more eyeballs get on that.
Sometimes I think it's good to utilize other people's platforms to sell things when you don't have your own audience, or you can go down the route of like building an audience, because like previously we've talked about stuff, for example, like teaching. You can do something on Skillshare or something like that because, they already have kind of a built-in audience, or you could like, make your own course on a platform where you're like filtering the audience into that platform. So I think it was kind of similar to that, I guess.
Exactly. And for these, Video Hive and Envato Market, all these different sites, like you're basically giving them the product and then you're becoming a commission of it. So you're basically handing over the full amount of the product. It's kind of like going into retail. You end up just making a small bit of it. I think it's around like 30%. I think some are like 40%. But it's definitely not the majority. So something to consider. But even on my own store, like there's PayPal fees, there's always going to be a transaction fee. So remember that no matter where you go, you have to pay something. It's never going to be like, the perfect whole amount.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out as well. I think I like talking about passive income and different revenue streams on this podcast because a lot of people in the industry don't talk about this stuff and they're just literally doing freelance work and nothing else. But I like to kind of give people these ideas, I guess, because I feel like, even if you made like a little bit, it could help you when you're having like a dry month, if you like have like a couple $100 from something that you put a bit of work into.
Yeah, totally. I think it's so cool to like have that backup plan too, just to know like, oh, I made some money while I was sleeping, and it's like,
exactly.
you have to be smart. And like, I try to explain this stuff to my grandma and she just doesn't get it because it's just it's a different era we live in. Like I was just talking with my parents too, who are a baby boomer generation. They run a real estate company and property management, and they just like, oh, I want to let go of the property management stuff, but I don't know how to. And I wish that my parents knew about the strength of this affiliate marketing. If they could just have a whole website, a blog about, the latest things in real estate, and they just did affiliate marketing, maybe that could supplement having to do that day job property management stuff. So it's just about being smart about how do you generate that side income so you can, put that in savings for your future home, for your family, all that stuff. It's so important, and it's so cool to like that we have this at our fingertips now. So I definitely encourage you guys, if you guys are listening, to just try it out and be consistent and be patient, because it's not going to happen right away. I made like $20 my first month, and then over the course of a year, it's just 8 times that amount. So it's actually even more than that. So it's like, it's so cool what you can do with it, but maybe it'll reactivate in a moment.
Yeah. Can you like explain what affiliate marketing is, just in case someone's listening and they're like, oh, I don't know what they're talking about?
Essentially, affiliate marketing, I think it started in like the late 90s or early 2000s. But basically, you become an affiliate for another company. And what that means is they give you a commission of sales that you refer. So let's say I'm an affiliate of Motion Hatch. If Haley starts selling her templates online, if she gives me a unique link, let's say it's motionhatch.com/gal, and I share that with somebody and they click on that link that Haley gave me and they decide to purchase it, then I can make a commission based on what Haley decides to give me. If she decides to give me $5 or $10 or a percentage of that sale, then if people keep doing that, that link will be on forever as long as that affiliate program is still alive. So that's basically how it works. And generally, you need to have a disclaimer on your site. Normally, I think it's a FTC guidelines. I don't know what it is in the UK, but generally you need to say like, oh, by the way, I'm an affiliate, I make a commission. And normally people don't mind that. I mean, they want to support you as a creator. So have some sort of text disclaimer just for like legal purposes to save your butt for anything like that. But that's basically affiliate marketing in a nutshell. And if you have multiple programs, that just broadens your reach. But at the same time, you don't want to do too many because that's a lot to keep up with, first of all. And it's like too many links, you know what I mean, to manage, right? So try a lot in the beginning and then figure out which ones are working. And then you can slim it back down and say, oh, I'm only focusing on these 3 because they're the best affiliate programs that's worth my time.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, what I've found is I only recommend products and services that you use yourself and
Exactly.
that you like, and things like that. That's like affiliate marketing 101.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to say like, here's my link, click it. It's more like it's in context. It's in what you guys love, right? So yeah, nobody wants to be a skeezy affiliate. It comes across right away.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of YouTube, you know, with the saying that it's an affiliate link and stuff like that, would you just put that in the description? Like, would you do affiliate marketing on YouTube?
Generally, people will put it like in their about page on YouTube. So that way they don't have to do it on every single one. So they say like something pretty general, like the links on my page are part of a variety of affiliate programs. I make a small commission from them. So like, thank you for your support. Something very like broad. And some people list out the programs that they're in. So like if it's Envato, Adobe, Amazon or whatever. But some people do put it in the bottom of every description, or they say, I make a small commission from this. Thanks, like smiley face, you know. Or you can just say it in your video too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't feel like typing and you just want to communicate orally, that's fine too. There's so many different ways to do it.
Yeah, because I didn't know whether you like had to say in your videos or not, but you're saying that not everyone does.
No, I think it's only if it's a sponsored video that it has to be clear that it's sponsored. Because advertising now, just for the consumer, you have to say, and this video is brought to you by, or this video is sponsored by, but that's a direct monetary. It's not an affiliate. And the reason why you don't have to say it's an affiliate in the video like a sponsored is because it's not guaranteed that people are going to click and you're going to make money, right? But you can say it subtly and just say, and that could encourage people to potentially click on the link and be interested in what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like YouTube, you're kind of, I feel like the focus is that you're kind of going into it thinking that you want to provide value first. Because we talked a lot about like monetization, but I feel like for most people, you know, maybe they won't get to that or it won't be a lot. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and kind of what you should be thinking about when you start a channel, basically?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't want to be spamming your audience with stuff. You just want it to be value first and like learning together. And I've definitely had moments where I felt like bad about like doing too many like sponsored stuff, you know, as a creator. I was like, you know, should I even be doing this? Should I just be like making a tutorial? That's it. And I was talking with my project manager and they're like, there's nothing wrong with, it's not selling out. It's just being smart about how you're presenting your work and working with good companies that believe in your voice, you know, and then aren't really using you. It's like a partnership, right? So don't try to feel like you're selling out. Like, I hate that term. You know, it's more like you're being smart about how you're presenting your content. And you just got super lucky that this company wanted to sponsor you. And if your audience doesn't like that you have this cool, like, way of presenting a sponsorship ad, they can just skip past it. You know what I mean? There's a fast forward button. But as long as you still have that valuable content in there, and it's not just like, oh, by the way, this, oh, by the way, that. And it's more just like, this video is brought to you by blah, blah, blah. And be creative with it. Like maybe do like a stop motion animation and make it your own advertisement, and then go into the valuable content that you've always loved to do and that your audience cares about. So it's a fine line, and you'll know when it's the right company. You just have this gut feeling. I mean, there's times where I've had to politely, after I worked with a client, basically fire them. It just being like, not fire them, but just like let them go, because I was like, I'm sorry, but it's not working out because it just doesn't feel right. And that's okay. And I think it's good to experiment because then you'll just be smarter about those things in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense. So in terms of people like starting out on YouTube, what are the best ways to kind of get like your first 1,000 subscribers or, that first little bit, because you've obviously got like a big audience now, but thinking about like when you first started out, what kind of advice would you give to people?
I would say work with other existing platforms that have an audience. So write for a blog. Basically write about the content that you're making. So if you happen to be doing how to create a logo reveal for a YouTube channel or something, you could, reach out to some publications and say, hey, I made this tutorial. Could I like write basically a blog version of it and embed that video in there? And then that your content starts to be seen by more people. And then you're basically doing it for free. You could offer to do it for free in the beginning, but as you grow, you can start writing and also make money from writing for publications as well. It's another way you can make money as well. But, thanks to Premiere Bro, he helped me out a lot. He shared some of my videos. I write for Pond 5 as well, and they have a big audience. So it just helped, throw me out there a little bit sooner, I guess. It took me about 6 months to get to 1,000.
Okay, that's good to know, because I feel like everyone thinks like, oh yeah, we could just make a YouTube channel and then get loads of subscribers. And I just think like it is quite hard in the beginning. I don't know do you feel like after kind of the first few thousand, do you feel like you have like a snowball sort of effect?
I've always been like slow and gradual. It's definitely like increased monthly amount, but I never like had like a viral sensation, like, like gals doing a stop motion and traveling around the world. And it's this crazy, like has over 10 million views. No, I don't have anything like that. That would be super cool to have a video like that. But I think it's almost better because then it shows that your audience is there and it's steadily growing over time. And I think that's what you want. I know some people say like, oh, I want to get that viral video. I'm like, I don't know if you do, because then you're like a one-hit wonder,
Yeah.
Like those songs that are just like that one-hit wonder and then you never hear of them again. But some people really grow from a viral video. So I would say just like make your content consistent so people know that you're there. So I still struggle to get one video done a week on the channel, and I'm not consistent on what day. And I think that's fine. Because people don't care and don't say, oh, I'm sorry, I was sick last week, I couldn't make a video. You're a human. Like, you don't need to apologize for like being late on a video. You know what I mean? I think it's totally fine. And I wouldn't recommend doing a schedule on YouTube because it honestly stressed me out. If I like didn't make the time to like get it up on Wednesday by 8 a.m., then it would just make me, like even today I wanted to publish a video, but then I was like, you know what? No, it's late. I don't want to stay up super late tonight, so I'm going to wait until Friday, So just play it by ear.
Yeah, I keep hearing advice like, oh, I publish on this certain day and it has to be like that day. And
I just cringe at that stuff because it's just so robotic. I mean, we're already like so robotic anyway. Like I just got an Apple Watch and it tells me when to stand up. Like, and it's cool because it's better for my health and everything, but it makes me feel like very like robotic. Like I have to do certain things, but that's not how the creative mind works, and you may get inspired by something and it can completely change the schedule. So you don't want to lock yourself in unless it's like a TV show, where you have to, go on air at a certain time. But that's what's so great about YouTube is you decide when you want to publish. And if that's on a Saturday evening, why not? Just do it.
Yeah. Do you feel like I've heard a lot of things where it's like posting weekly content is like minimum. Do you feel like that's true?
I mean, I skip some weeks just because I'm taking a week off or something. I don't think missing a week is a huge deal. I think in the beginning, you're like more excited about growing the audience. Like I was posting twice a week sometimes, and it just depends on what else you have going on. But if you want to make a high quality content, especially for a tutorial that requires research, accuracy, the right information. That's a lot of work into one thing. So if you want to promote that, do a newsletter, write a blog about it, post it on your website, that's a lot of work for just 1 week. So think about just like how much work goes into that one video and how you can extend that life of that one video. So it's like high quality, you're getting views. And that way you're not just being like, oh, I have to make a second video this week. And it's just kind of like crap video. You know what I mean? So I think if you're making quality content that's educational, that's interesting, you can post maybe twice a month and people would love it. I don't think there's a problem with that. I mean, we're busy, right, Haley? Like you're doing your podcast right now. Like sometimes you can't watch all the content you want to in one day. So just something to think about. I don't know how people do daily vlogs. Like they must be insane people. I just don't get it. You'll know if you guys are thinking about it, you'll know what the natural flow is. But just my advice is don't corner yourself into a schedule unless you're like super type A and it works great for you, then do it. But I'm like a BA person. So it doesn't really work for me.
I just feel like, everyone is always saying like, oh, if you're not going to do like weekly videos, then don't bother. And like, obviously consistency is like the key, but that's just what, I feel like. Be
consistent. Just don't have like a super strict schedule,
Yeah, like posting every Tuesday
or 6
something like that. I get what you're saying. So you're working for Whipster at the moment. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So, we've been talking about doing YouTube full time and like posting consistently and stuff. The great part about YouTube is once you have your channel and your audience and you still make content, you can do other things and not have YouTube take over. You get a lot of YouTubers saying how it's like really hard to have like a work-life balance because it's like 24/7 jobs, constantly content creating, thinking about ideas, and it can get overwhelming. So Whipster is a video review and approval platform that I've been using since 2016 when I was still a video producer, and I love the platform. And it was funny because at the time I was like looking for other work and I was like, oh, I would love to work for Whipster. I love their company. And this was back in 2016. And last August, when I was living abroad and like doing gal stuff full time and I was like rocking it, I wasn't really thinking about a full-time job. They approached me and they said, hey, we're looking for somebody to come and create an ambassador network, essentially an affiliate program for Whipster, and also do some cool creative content event meetups and cool stuff like that. I was like, well, gal's in a good place right now. And I do feel like it's kind of taken over a bit of like my personal life sometimes too. So I was like, maybe it's a good move. And if it doesn't work, then I can always just go back to gal. And the channel has still grown consistently and I'm working full time still. So that just goes to show that you can do YouTube and a full-time job and have that YouTube channel be successful. And honestly, I think it's a bit healthier, to be honest, for me, because I can just be like, working on a team, coming in and like talking with people on YouTube. It's such a like solo thing. You know what I mean? So you can easily isolate yourself, and I'm an introverted person. Like I need my alone time, but I also like need energy. And I think everybody needs some type of human interaction at some point. But Whipster's been great. It's a great platform if you are doing like client work, or even if you're working on a team and you just need to share stuff for feedback, and you can use the visual annotation tools. It also works for audio, works for animations, has a panel with After Effects and Premiere Pro. So you can just upload it directly to Whipster and if you need to share it with somebody for approval. And yeah, it's a product I believe in. Like we were talking about before with affiliate marketing, like it's so nice to work in a place that you believe in the product and you use that product and you like it. So it's been good.
Yeah, and we're using Whipster in the MoGraph Mastermind program.
Yeah, how's that going?
Going on right now. Yeah, it's really awesome. And it's really, really cool because what we do is everyone shares their show reels and stuff, and then we can kind of give feedback to everyone through Whipster, and it's just really easy to use, and it's really nice because then you can see what everyone's saying and you can like comment on their comments. And
yeah, it's great for like a bunch of different people, like a group of people too, because it has like that activity feed, so you can see if somebody's seen something. And that's also cool because you can nudge somebody and be like, I saw that you saw that video, but you haven't left feedback yet. So it's like you can nudge them and be like, what's up? What's going on here?
Yeah, I could see how it'd be really handy for everyone as well, working with their clients and stuff, so they can like send, their clients a video and they don't have to like get emails and emails of like time-coded feedback, because that's the worst.
Yeah, absolutely not. No. That's a thing of the past. So yeah, Webster's been great. Gala's still going strong. Like I'm working on a video this week. It's 7 editing techniques that every editor should know. And it's really cool because rather than just show it, I'm like, well, can I use examples from the past or examples from Hollywood and kind of do a hodgepodge of different ideas? So when you guys are doing YouTube videos, like think, how can you present it like uniquely and have fun with it? Because the last thing you want to do is have it be like a laundry chore. And if I feel like it's a laundry chore, then I have to take a step back and be like, why am I feeling this way? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to reschedule it? Oftentimes that's it. I just need more time and I just need to take a break. And I think that that's completely fine and respectable. And I think people would honestly like your work more if you're taking the time to make it how you want. But don't over obsess over the perfection. I think Peter McKinnon says better done than perfect. So don't overthink it too much, but definitely go with like how you're feeling. At least that's how it works for me. If I'm in a bad mood, I just won't be on camera because it's like I look like I'm an asshole. Like you just don't, you know what I mean? You don't want to be in front of the camera and just like feel like it's not fun.
Yeah. So because you're working full time at Whipster and doing the videos, do you like batch the content or how does that work?
I actually don't. Like, I wish that I've always wanted to be like, yeah, I have 5 videos ready in the queue. I've never had that. I think I've had like maybe 1 video in the queue just because I worked extra to get a video done when my family was visiting the next week. But it's generally week to week for me. It's like this fun creative outlet that I can be like, okay, what am I doing this week? My partner is my project manager and we schedule out stuff like we're already booked through August with content like sponsorship spots and like things like that. So I just ask and was like, what's a sponsorship thing this week or what are we doing? And then I come up with like my creative idea and like produce the content basically in one night. I may have to split it up into 2 nights. And then I just stop working on Premiere Gal stuff that week. So it's usually like a Monday night and a Tuesday night. And then I'm off from Premiere Gal stuff, basically.
Right. Wow. It's like so much work and you're like doing it in your evenings.
Trust me,
now.
If you guys want to get the 1,000 subscribers, I was crazy, okay? Like I was like probably borderline obsessed with it, to be honest. And you have to be obsessed with it. You have to be passionate about it to make it successful. There was a night when I was working in DC as full time where every night I stayed up until 3 a.m. and I had to go into work the next day at 9 a.m. So I was just exhausted and but I was so energized at the same time because I was excited about it. That was like my biggest struggle was sleep, to be honest, because I just wasn't getting enough sleep when I was working full time. So now I'm like, have to come up with a schedule and be like, okay, just this one night, because if I stay up, then I'm not fun to be around in the office.
Yeah. So you're kind of like saying you've got this amount of time to work on it and then it's just got to be
Which
done,
is cool too, right? Because it's like creativity under constraints can be a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, I'm trying to like theme my days right now. Like I'm like, okay, this is podcast day. This is like mastermind day. This is another mastermind day. This is like an admin day. But obviously I feel lucky that I can do that at the moment, basically.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's so cool to have like theme days like that because I feel like if you do admin stuff like every day, it can like take over, like in the email, like never stop. So it's good to have like one dedicated day to doing like proposals, writing, email stuff.
Yeah, it still does creep into the other days, especially like social media, stuff like
social
that.
Media. Yeah.
It's always like on a Tuesday, I'm like, promote the podcast quickly. And really, it should be more organized than that.
I know. Yeah. Sometimes it's like that, but what can you do? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you mentioned like sponsorships there. When did you first get a sponsorship? How many subscribers? Like, how did you pitch that? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting.
Well, it's actually ironic, but Whipster was actually my first sponsored thing. And it was in August, I only had 300 or like 200 subscribers. And I guess they were just trying to get the word out. It was not very much money. I think it was like $300 or something like that, but it's still something. And it's pretty good for just starting out. And I just did a little review of how to like install the Whipster review panel and use it. And this was back in 2016. And then from there, I got lucky with that one. I didn't get much sponsorship after that. I actually bargained for like free tools in exchange for free content, like Boris Effects plugin suite, which is normally like $1,000, which is a lot of money. I was able to get that whole entire suite for free in exchange for doing some tutorials on how to use Mocha Pro. And like that whole plugin, wow, it is complicated. And let me just say, like, it's really nice to just sit down and like explain how to use Continuum, because I learned how to use it and then people get it. But if you just first open up Boris Effects plugins, it is not easy to use. So that was an example of me kind of bargaining for content. And now, as I progressed my relationship with them, we did like a 6-month contract with them and did X amount of videos. Sometimes it doesn't fall within that contract. Like I said, the schedule changes and things get hectic, and that's totally fine. And because I have a good relationship with them, I was able to communicate and say, hey, can we like postpone this a bit? Like stuff is a bit crazy right now. And they're like, yeah, things are a bit crazy with us too. So it's totally fine to move that around, but try to nurture those relationships. So they started with me when I was very small, and they're still with me today. And that's just one example. I have several others that I worked with as well, just like that.
That's great to hear, because it's almost like with clients and like getting clients, it's the same thing like getting sponsors. Like you really have to work hard and then also kind of, like you're saying, like build relationships. It's all about that.
100% YouTube is all about building relationships. And a lot of them I've been able to build just through email and an occasional Google Hangout, And Whipster actually helped a lot with building these relationships, because I was able, because they wanted to leave feedback, because a lot of my tutorials that are highly technical, they want to make sure that I'm explaining how to do it correctly. So Whipster came in handy because I could upload it and they could say, actually here, you were supposed to use this tool. And like, that's totally fine, because I have to go back and re-edit it and then I'll learn and I'll never forget that. You know what I mean? It always sucks to like welcome more feedback sometimes, because you're like, oh, I just want to get this out. But at the same time, you want to make sure that it's accurate, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So like, because I'm sure, I have no idea, and I'm sure lots of people don't either. In terms of like sponsorship, do you know whether there's like a range of stuff? Like, is it like in podcasts, it's like per episode, right? Do people normally do per like video? And then like, is there a range of like how much sponsors will pay? Like, I'm sure it's a huge range and it depends on channels, but I wonder whether you could talk about that a little bit.
Once you guys get going with your YouTube channel and you feel like you're ready, even if you're just at like a few thousand subscribers, like you can use, I think it's called the Social Blue Book. So, when you go buy a car, there's the Kelley Blue Book, at least in the States, where it gives you an estimated price value of your car. So the same with the Social Blue Book, it gives you, and I believe you have to pay for this tool. I don't think it's a lot of money. I think it's like $10 a month or something like that. But basically, it'll give you a valuation of your channel based on how many views you get. And it'll say you can charge this much per sponsorship based on your overall picture of your YouTube channel. So I'd recommend getting that, because there's really no guidebook out there saying if you have this much, and this much, you should charge this much. So definitely look into that. Even if you just get it for a month, just buy it for 1 month and then just get a snapshot. And then maybe 6 months later, buy it for a month and then get a new snapshot of how you're performing. Generally, I'll increase my rates because you are constantly growing, right? So after about 5 months or so, I'll reevaluate my fee basically and increase it, or I'll do a package deal to lower it. So for example, Squarespace, which is the website company, they're not a video tool, but I use Squarespace for my own website. So I was like super excited. They reached out to me and I did a 4-video package deal with them. And basically after it's done, we'll evaluate to see how it did. And then they decide if they want to continue, basically. and they give you like a link. It's not affiliate link because they did direct sponsorship, but basically how many people used my code will show how many people were actually engaging with it. Is it worth it for them to continue? And if it's not worth it, that's totally fine too. Like, I want to make sure that they're hitting the right people too. And if it's not a good fit, then, life goes on. You go find your next one.
That's really great, because I feel like sponsorship's such like a dark art, and I feel like people are thinking like, how do you make money on YouTube? Is it just ads? Like, is everyone just like making ad revenue?
I mean, that's where all the money is in advertising, to be honest. But like the YouTube ad revenue, the way it works is I think you get $1 per 1,000 views or 2,000 views. So it's not very much money, so you have to be making like millions of views per month. And I don't even get that. So it's like, I need to be creative with making sure that, I'm able to connect with the audience well, even though I have a smaller audience compared to like some channels with like 1 million subscribers and stuff. I'm able to get a lot of conversions because my audience is highly engaged. I've worked with some YouTubers who have millions of subscribers, but they aren't able to convert it. And they're so restricted because they have such a high fee that we don't want to work with them again, because it's like, well, we didn't get that much conversions the first time. So why would we spend all that money to not have a lot? You know what I mean? I guess it's a craft of not necessarily persuasion, because I don't really like that word, but you have to become a master at really showing that value to then get people to be interested in it. And if you're just kind of doing this one little ad spot, by the way, this is blah, blah, that's not gonna get people to convert. You have to add that personal aspect. So for like Squarespace, I didn't just say, oh, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. It's a place where you can make websites. It's great. This is what I did was I showed my own website and I showed how I use it, because otherwise people would just be like, why is this here in this video editing tutorial?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're like helping other people by giving them like, showing them how to do something. And it's like almost like the sponsorship is just like aside from that. And that's just helping you continue to make videos, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've had some creators even say that in their video. I don't know if you've heard of Dan Mace, but he's a YouTuber that like collabed with Casey Neistat, and he's from South Africa. And he had sponsorship from Storyblocks. And he said, like, right before his spiel about the whole sponsorship, he was like, I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, Dan, you're doing sponsorship videos. Oh, you're selling out or whatever. But actually, it's good for me because now I can grow as a creator. And he like did this whole like explanation about like how it's good that he has it, I thought that was really interesting. People are getting like very meta with it. And some people have comedic approaches to their sponsorships. Like they make it kind of funny and they dress up and do like funny things. So don't think of it as just like, oh, and this video is brought to you by, and like doing it like that big radio voice or whatever. It's have fun with it and like think of it how you can do it your way, whether it's animation, if you're a motion designer.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know whether you've heard of him. You might not have, because he's a guy from the UK, but there's a really big podcast called like the Adam Buxton podcast, or the Adam Buxton show. I don't know what he calls it, but basically he makes funny jingles for his sponsors on the podcast. And I love that. I just think because it's part of the entertainment, it's great.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Have fun with it, and think about look at how other people are doing it and see how you can kind of adopt that and maybe transform it into your own. It's just about making something that's normally dull interesting, right? So a good example of it is I flew to Las Vegas for NAB show with Southwest Airlines. And Southwest Airlines gets an interesting rep here in the States for having like a music during takeoff. Like, like you're on takeoff and it has like, and it's pretty funny. But one of the guys, when we were getting ready, the guy, I think it was the captain, he was like doing like sort of an announcement style. And he was like, if you guys are traveling with children, I'm sorry. And like kind of did like this whole thing, like basically apologizing for, or just saying like sorry to people for like their circumstance. Rather than being like, if you guys are traveling with children, make sure that they're buckled up, the typical thing that you would say. So it's kind of like that, just having more fun with it.
I like your channel because I think you do have a bit more fun and you show your personality and stuff like that. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's the most important thing that we need to think about if we're thinking about starting a YouTube channel?
Definitely make sure that you are passionate about that topic, because that's going to become pretty much your life. And I knew right away that I loved video stuff since I was 16. So it's been like 15 years now of me loving it. So it wasn't a big decision for me to say, this is it. I was already working in video. So definitely love it. Second thing is to, don't isolate yourself. Like when you guys are in the YouTube channel space, collaborate with people, go on podcasts, connect with the community. Because if you reference other people in your work, you become a part of that community, because you're like, oh, I remember Peter McKinnon made this video. He did it this way. And you're adding to that discourse, right? So it's like YouTube is just this big discourse, and how do you fit within it? You don't want to say, oh, my way is the only right way, because that's not correct. There's so many video editing channels out there already. So I had to figure out, how am I adding to people and not just doing the same thing? Because I hate that. If somebody asks me, how do I do this? I'm not going to quickly make a whole tutorial on my channel and then send it to them. I'll just send them a link to somebody else who already did a great job on it, So just be aware what's there and how you fit into it. Don't, isolate yourself as the only pillar of knowledge, because then if you do shout out another YouTuber, maybe that's an opportunity to collaborate together. So for one, find something that you love. Two, don't isolate yourself. Be a part of the discourse. And I guess a third thing would be, don't rely on YouTube ad revenue, but also make content that people will watch, and be smart about your affiliate marketing. It's a lot of different tips, but I hope that that's useful to you guys. I think it's so important to be around other people and communicate with them, because it's just I think, and I'm referencing Peter McKinnon again, obviously I'm a fan of him, but I love that he made a whole video how YouTube was the loneliest job he's ever had. That was the title of his video, or it actually is. YouTube is the loneliest job I've ever had. I highly encourage you guys watching that if you're about to start a YouTube channel, because they talk a lot about what YouTube is and what to expect and what to do. So you guys would probably get a lot of tips just from watching his video. It resonated with me so much. I was like, oh my God, because I can't wait until I can afford an actual studio, because then I could be like, hey, Haley, come on over and work here, and have that vibe, because I feel like I do miss that from school. You know what I mean? You could hang out with your friends, do little study groups, but instead of study groups, you're creating groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That would be cool. Making a little YouTube studio of other YouTubers and just jump on each other's videos.
Exactly. And I honestly think that's why Casey Neistat created 368 in New York, because he wanted a space to bring people together. And that's just a natural thing for people to do.
Yeah, because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately. I like Peter McKinnon. I just found him. I feel like I'm a new fan. I just found him, even though he's huge.
He's easy to like, because he has such a good energy about him.
Yeah, that's cool. So do you want to tell the audience where they can find you and your YouTube channel and stuff like that?
For sure. I'm on all the social platforms, even LinkedIn, believe it or not. Some people are like, I don't use LinkedIn. It's youtube.com/premiergal. I'm also on Twitter, but it's @premier_gal, because somebody took Premier Gal and they won't give it up. And then the same with Instagram, it's @premier_gal. And then I have a Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/premiergal. And I have a Facebook user group within that. So it's a space for people to ask questions rather than just me posting, advertisement stuff about what I'm doing that week. So my website is just premiergal.com. So if you guys have any questions, there's a contact page there as well.
Cool. We'll put all the links in the show notes as well. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much, Haley. It was a fun conversation.
Thanks to Kelsey, aka Premier Gal, for coming on the show. Please do go and check out her channel. It's really awesome. I'll put it in the show notes at motionhatch.com/43. We talked a lot about Whipster in this episode. You can get a 14-day free trial of Whipster if you go to motionhatch.com/Whipster. I'm actually an affiliate for Whipster. It means that I get a small commission if you do decide to buy it. but it doesn't cost you anything extra, and it just helps me to continue making these podcasts for you. So go to motionhatch.com/Whipster if you'd like to check it out. I'll also put the link in the show notes for that as well. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really, really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed it, please do share it with a friend, however you would do that. We are at Motion Hatch on Twitter and Instagram. I hope you have a wonderful week. See ya.